Dietitian Teresa here. We're gonna address the 1200 calorie go-to. What's typical, right? Like you hear 1200 calories, lose weight, right? Like, okay, but if you're stuck there, let's talk about why that may not just be frustrating, but it also may be a little bit misleading and to a little bit more metabolic sabotage than we think it actually is doing. Have you ever asked yourself the question, or like thought to yourself, gosh, it just must be my hormones are messed up, that's the way it is, so what's the best supplement that I can take to fix this? Or this just comes with age, you know, I'm just gonna have to accept it and live as I am. Or the fact that the frustrating part of I'm eating so clean, but yet in exercising more, but I just cannot see the results that I actually truly want. Or maybe you're finding that you're gaining weight in the process of all this. Now, this comes down to more than just calories in versus calories out. We are not an exact mathematical equation per se. We are biological beings that require food for energy, food for movement, and fuel throughout our everyday lives. And when we aren't eating enough, our body perceives this as a threat per se. It's a threat, like it's saying, oh, I don't have enough, so I'm going to start collecting what I can get. And 1100, 1200, maybe even less than 1000 calories, if you find that you're consuming that and you're just not seeing anything, is just not enough to support even a woman's resting metabolic rate or your basal metabolic rate, which is you literally just laying there, not doing anything. Like you're just laying there and that's what your body needs, just to pump blood and keep your heart going, keep your digestion moving, keep your eyes seeing and moving, and your brain thinking. And typically what happens over this long period of time when we're in this very undernourished state, that our body is perceiving this to be like, hey, I need to survive. Like it is going into fight or flight mode and start to preserve energy that it already has to help the brain get some energy that it needs. So basically what happens is that from the body starts taking from the amino acids and some free fatty acid ketones that is from lean muscle tissue, but that lean muscle tissue is so metabolically active that this is not what we want our body to ideally break down. And Dr. Stacy Sims says this perfectly in like my studying that I'm doing about hers. And this is where I'm getting a lot of the information from her approach and like her view, but also some other research I've done in this, is that when we start noticing like the belly fat accumulating around the midsection, or you may be feeling puffy and inflamed, you're not progressing in the gym, you're feeling tired, you're losing lean mass, but you might feel just like fluffy. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't get a lot of muscle tone per se, you just feel fluffy and like you're not getting anywhere. And then this leads you not to even being able to sleep because your body is so like, I'm wired but tired. Like I know I need to recover, but I don't have enough to do that and sleep through the night because it's in a high stress state and the tired but wired. That's basically what it is. So then what happens is like, in the inner systems is that your liver and free fatty acid stores visceral fat tissue around the organs, because the liver in your body's like, hey, I might need this. Like I might need this energy. So your body starts to drive more insulin resistance because it needs to preserve the blood sugar to get energy for the brain. So like, let's say you cut the carbs, right? Like that's very common. Carbs are like our main body and brain's fuel source. So if we don't have that, it's going to start to take away from muscle tissue. It's going to start to take away and preserve fat so that it feels safe. So here's the issue. Here's some issues with like the 1200 calorie popular thing. So what actually happens though? Like and this is where first I want to go into like metabolic adaptation and that survival mode per se. So when you chronically undereat around that number, your body downregulates its metabolism to conserve energy. So everything we just talked about, that's basically what it means. It thinks that food is scarce and it starts running on low power. And the impact that this has on females is that this actually makes fat loss harder over time despite eating less, because your body starts adapting by burning fewer calories at rest during activity. Because if you're not getting enough energy, remember, it's going to start going into your muscle stores, the lean mass that we actually want in our body. And the key points to mention here are that from that 1200 calorie diet in like the metabolic adaptation is that your RMR, or your resting metabolic rate, or BMR, decreases. Fewer calories are burned at rest or with your daily movement. And then it actually ultimately leads to slower thyroid function, and your thyroid hormones can get out of whack, which is often a very common thing found in underfed, underfueled women. So your body isn't broken here. It's smart. It's trying to protect you in this sense. So if you're not noticing the changes, your body's just doing what it needs to do. And second thing is on the hormonal stress aspect, especially during that post-menopause into your mid-40s to like mid-50s, around there. Every woman might depend on when you go through these phases. But what happens is that menopause already brings such hormonal swings and shifts that lower estrogen and progesterone, and sometimes often the thyroid function, because it's like trying to figure everything out. And a low-calorie diet truly just adds fuel to the fire. Like, that's really what it's doing. So then when you have all this going on with the hormonal shifts, and we're trying to work really against the grain here, causes a lot of cortisol spikes and excess high levels of cortisol levels consistently over time. And under eating really increases that stress hormone cortisol, which actually can lead to things like poor sleep. So wired but tired, you're waking up constantly during the night, you can't get to sleep. Fat storage, especially abdominal area to protect the organs, and then mood swings and cravings can happen. In the peri and postmenopause impact that this has on women, in these phases, this already has more stress on the body naturally. But then you add the 1200, maybe even less calories, it's like a double whammy, you guys. This slows the metabolism while throwing off the already hormones that are shifting even into more of a haywire situation. And so the answer to this is that you do not need less food. You may just need to better understand your body's needs for the nourishment, for the hormonal support that could actually get you better results long term. And then this leads me into talking about muscle loss and long-term rebound risk. And what happens here is that eating too little leads to muscle breakdown, because again, your body's not getting enough. It starts taking away from the protein stores and muscle stores in your body, and it's gonna start conserving fat. Your body will actually prioritize the energy over muscle preservation. So especially if your protein intake is low, that's why I really hype up protein. And why this matters for women is that muscle is metabolically active. And the more you have of muscle, the more you can eat while maintaining your weight. But also the more muscle you have, the more you're burning more at rest. So you're not having to go lower and lower calories, because your body itself is a machine. Like, it's a machine. Not saying like it's a skill in a long-term process to build muscle. It's not like you just in 8 weeks just like pack on like 10, 15, 20 pounds of muscle. But losing this muscle in this phase contributes to our slower metabolism, poorer insulin sensitivity, so insulin resistance, you hear that a lot, and weaker bones, because our bones need that strength training, need that protein, need that fuel, and vitamin D and calcium to work together to build strong bones. And the rebound risk here, listen up here. Most women can't maintain 1200 calories forever. And when they return to normal eating, fat is gained quickly, often more than before, because you're coming from an extreme calorie deficit, then you're finally eating like what would be normal again, and then your body's like, woo, I got this energy. So this creates this cycle. You see that fat gain, or like that weight gain over time, which weight gain and fat gain are different. Like, it's not always the same. This creates a damaging mental cycle with the dieting. It goes, you diet, then you gain, then you restrict again, then you burn out. Then you diet, you gain, you restrict again, you burn out. And the cycle continues throughout your life period. But you never give your body a chance to just be and heal and work with it. Like, go with the flow of the river here. Like, not against it. Let's not try to swim upstream. And then, so the important message here in this portion, building and maintaining muscle is your metabolic insurance policy, basically, especially as you age over time. So what are the signs? I mentioned some signs that, what if the 1,200 calories, or like this low amount of calories you're trying to achieve, is not working for you? What are those signs? Number one, fatigue, constant fatigue and low energy. So you're constantly exhausted, even after a full night's sleep. You crash mid-afternoon or rely on caffeine to survive the day. Your body is underfueled, so it's conserving energy, and that feels like burnout. The second thing is stalled weight loss, or even maybe weight gain. So despite eating so little, the scale won't budge, or it actually starts creeping up little by little. And your metabolism has slowed down and your body is holding on to fat for survival. So you may notice a drop, but then you might notice a gain. Or you might notice, I cut my calories, I'm exercising more, I am yada, 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 but I am actually gaining weight. Take a step back, breathe. Your health is a gift. Slow down. Work with what you're going through right now. Third thing, mood swings and irritability. So this is where, like, you know, if you notice like you're more anxious or emotional or easily frustrated, like you're very irritable, like your body is not able to have the energy to have some patience, or the anxiety has a lot to do with your gut. And when we are underfed, here's a fun fact. When we are underfed for so long, because this is what I actually had went through too, it impacts our digestion. It impacts our gut health. If we're not getting enough food, enough starches, enough protein, enough fats, enough fiber in our tummy, our gut bugs just kind of take it, and they're just like, yeah, no, not working anymore. Which then the gut-brain connection, we have more anxiety, our gut's not working well, and we're just like in this anxious bubble. And so that low energy availability affects your brain chemistry and hormone regulation. And especially during that peri and post-menopause phase, when you're already experiencing some brain fog and hormonal shifts, this adds to it. And then fourth thing, cravings and binge urges. So you're constantly thinking about food, especially carbs or sweets. Usually it's like, ooh, I was so good this week, or I didn't even have a piece of candy. I didn't even have, like, go out to eat. Like, I'm being so good. Like, I get where you're coming from, and I want to give you some grace there, and please give yourself some grace. But if we're thinking about that for an actual health, sustainable, long-term health, longevity change that you're trying to do, let's not try to think about it that way. Let's not try to restrict. Let's try to work those things in. I tell my clients, if you want to go out for pizza, I want you going out for pizza, because it would be realistic for me to say, no, never do that on this dieting phase or this calorie phase, because it's not going to teach you to heal the relationship with that food, heal the relationship with your social, heal the relationship with yourself. So that restriction often backfires into overeating, because the more you tell yourself not to have something like the chocolate, you're going to want it even more. Or the Ben & Jerry's sitting in the freezer. Yes, of course. Like, if you can't have that, you want it. Like, let's go. But I hope you get the point there. And then 5 is poor sleep. So usually when you're in this undernourished state for so long, you may be waking up at 2 or 3 a.m. wired or anxious feeling. You might be having trouble falling asleep or staying asleep. And that's often linked to the elevated cortisol, which your stress hormone, elevated, pouring over into your system, which spikes when the body is underfed and inflamed. And then for midlife women, this is especially common and actually can be worsened by those hormonal fluctuations, like with estrogen and progesterone. So you're not doing anything wrong. It's just you can start working with it, fueling. So what to do instead? let's hop into that, because I know I want to inform you on this, but what do you do? Here's my biggest tip, and some people may not like this. Slow down, accept where you are, and commit to respecting yourself on this journey. I want you to focus on optimizing your food, optimize your recovery. We're not in this more of a deficit is better, more exercise is better, more. Let's just be like, I'm going to choose to do what I am doing with intention. And I'm going to focus on this. I'm going to give this a good go. Give yourself 4 weeks to get a good bump. 4 weeks won't change it all, but 4 weeks may be a small enough time frame to be like, I can focus for 4 weeks. And I bet you would see a difference if you just slowed down, see where you're at, evaluate. Who are you now? Who is a woman you want to step into becoming? And focus on her, embody her, identify her. And this comes through both nutrition and activity. Your health is a gift. So let's take a beat and think about an approach that gives your body room to recover, repair, and thrive. So first tip here, I would like you to focus on eating within 30 minutes to an hour of waking, before that big cup of coffee you're taking, before caffeine. Because again, we're trying to mitigate some cortisol responses. So if you're feeding your body caffeine right in the morning, you're also coming from a wired but tired sleepless night, and then you're like, bing, like, let's go. Let's mitigate that. This helps signal your body and brain to mitigate that stress responses. And so we're not operating on fight or flight anymore. Let's go into the day fueled and focused. So if you're a morning workout gal, I want you to have something before this too. And yes, even if you are saying, I'll throw up if I eat something, or this is absolutely no, like I cannot stomach something. You have to have a little bit of something. You got to have a little bit of stimulus for change for it to happen. Your body it's different to your body, and it's not a glorified response from your body, but your body wants you to have something for energy during that workout. Maximize your workout. So let's start small. Like, what could that be? Maybe a couple of dates. Do like half a banana with a tablespoon of peanut butter, or a couple bites of Greek yogurt or cottage cheese in the morning. Maybe drizzle like a tablespoon of honey on there before that workout. Get you some carbs, get you a little bit of protein, nothing crazy, but just something that your body's like, ooh, okay, like let's ease into the diet a little bit. And then that post-morning workout. So this is what Dr. Stacey Sims talks about all the time, is like, as women, we need to focus on the fuel aspect. So especially around that workout, because a lot of us are like, start trying to get the workout in before the day even starts, because like that's the time you got to do it. So that post-morning workout, have a balanced meal to recover what you broke down from the workout. So if it's a light workout, I want you to focus more. So like this is like walking or like doing a mobility, yoga, Pilates, whatever. I want you to go like moderate to high protein for yourself. High fiber, so picking up fibrous fruits or like oatmeal, like something that breaks down slowly as a carb source. And then doing some moderate fat sources. Moderate intense lifting, so this may be like you're going in and you're lifting and you did pretty like moderately intense lifting session, let's say that. I want you to focus on high protein and moderate carbs to fuel that recovery. So protein, carbs is important to build and repair that muscle, and then a moderate fat sources, and then moderate fiber there. For high intense lifting, I want you to focus on, or like a super long run, definitely high protein, higher carbs, because again, the more intense that lifting or that endurance is, like you need to repair and recover that with protein and carbs. And then a smaller amount to a moderate amount of fat, because the fat's important too, and the fiber, but the more important things at that post-workout, sorry, I can't talk, post-workout meal for that intense of a workout is the protein and carbs. So it's going to be a process, and I need you to understand that as you watch this video. If you want more data for yourself, use the TDEE calculator down below to figure out what your TDEE and BMR is, just for data. Then I want you to download the Chronometer app and log your food for 1 week. No judgment, just log your food for 1 week. You just need data. Like I want you to track everything. Even if you're having a couple bites of candy, even if you're having the ice cream, you need to know what you're doing. We can't change what we don't measure. And that's where tracking does not have to be restrictive, but it can be a very knowledgeable tool for you to make the changes necessary. Because if you don't know what you're like, oh, I think I eat healthy for lunch, but you're only eating like 200 calories at lunch, girl, we need to work on that. We need to bump that up. And you're only having 10 grams of protein because you're like, oh, I have enough protein, but what you actually are eating when you actually like get real with it is not enough. And then you have data and use that. And then compare this to what you found out about your BMR and TDEE. Compare those calories, those total daily calories from that week, and see, am I even meeting my BMR, my basal metabolic rate, or RMR? Am I exceeding that? Am I exceeding my TDEE? Am I under my TDEE? So the TDEE, hard to say, is like your maintenance. Like that's your maintenance calories for how active you are and just you physically being and all that. So that would be maintenance to stay where you're at. But oftentimes we just need to ask ourselves the true question. Are you fueling adequately? And just be real with yourself. You need the data. Here's my call to empowerment for you today for watching today's video. And thanks for sticking along if you are still here. I really hope this helps, and I am active on posting on TikTok just about personal journeys that I'm going through, still adapting. I do post a few times to Instagram, but I really want this YouTube channel to be very empowering for women and get you educated and get you to know why do things happen the way they do and what you can do with small itty bitty habits over time to create that long-term aspect. I'm not a short-term fix for long-term result kind of girl or dietitian or personal trainer. You have to be dedicated to being real with yourself, put in the work, even giving yourself some grace along the way, but with a little bit of fire underneath your booty to make changes and accept that, you know what? You have more resources than you know what to do with now. But we need to stay simple with our processes, and it's not always the most glamorous approach. Especially my approach, it's simple, back to basics, be ultra consistent. So if you haven't checked out any of my other videos, I do have a lot more videos on my channel. You can scroll through past videos talking about all macros and different food ideas. And I love doing like a grocery haul or meal prep videos just to give you some insight as to how real I'm trying to be with you guys of like, you got this. You have so much power in you to start embodying the woman you want to become. Start envisioning her and start becoming her. Start acting as if you were her today. So I hope this brought you some value and that it's coming from a place of empowerment from my heart and soul. And I really want you informed on these things so that you can start making changes necessary to help you feel strong, confident, fueled, more energy, better sleep, and just, creating better relationships with the people around you. So you gotta take care of yourself first so you can take even better care of others around you in the long run. So stay strong, stay nourished, and I will see you in the next video.